Hello everyone and welcome back to my cottage garden rescue. I think it's been a couple of weeks since I last checked in with you, and as you all know, if you're in the UK, the weather has been absolute trash for most of the last 2 weeks. There's been so much rain, lots of moody, windy days. I have managed to get out into the garden though and get started on something that I'm really excited to get done. I've been doing quite a lot of digging because I have got these two massive they're not quite lily plants, that's not the right word, like lily clumps or clusters in the garden, and I've been wanting to get rid of them for the entire time I've lived here, which is about 12 years. And the reason why I don't like them was three reasons. The first one being is they take up a lot of space and they do spread, and each year the clump gets bigger and bigger, and I don't have the biggest of borders or the biggest of gardens, and they have just they've taken over the section that they're in, and it's too much. The second reason is they're just not worth it. They don't bring me any pleasure. The lilies that come out, they last for about, well, it feels like 10 minutes. It's probably 24 hours. I think they could be day lilies. Also, might be stinking lilies. I don't know if there's a type of lily that has that kind of combination going on, because as you're trying to dig them out or trying to sort of thin the clump, they just smell. They smell pretty bad. So I have managed to, because the ground has been perfect for this, I've managed to dig out pretty much one of the clumps, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a moment. One of the jobs for today is to get the other clump dug out. I've started it, but I didn't get very far with it because it's pretty hard work, and I would love to get rid of the rest of that today. Now, some of the other things that I want to get done today is I kind of want to weed the whole of the rest of that sort of right hand side border from where I'm sitting at the moment. I want to get that weeded all the way down to another big plant that I actually want to dig out, but I'm not going to do that today. Another thing I want to do is weed the kitchen garden patch and get it mulched, and possibly sow some seeds direct into that. I have also got a ton of seed potatoes that I haven't even put in containers or in the ground or anything yet, so I would quite like to get that done today, but I think I will do that in a separate potato focused video. Okay, so let me take you to the lily clump that is no more. So this border here is coming along nicely. The forget-me-nots are out, the fennel's getting bigger, the Spanish bluebells, which I think I've talked about in a previous video, I've thinned them out a little bit over here. It's a bit of a losing battle trying to get rid of them completely, or at least that's the way that I have kind of approached having them in the garden, and they are starting to come into flower, and they are very pretty when they come out, so I can at least appreciate them for that. The strawberries are kind of coming along nicely. They won't start to fruit until June though, these ones, so they are about where they should be considering how cold the weather has been. Now then, let me show you what we have here. So we've got one pile of mess, pile of weeds, and then we come over here. This is the enormous hole that I've dug the lilies out of, and can you see how much root there still is in the ground there? So much root, so I think I'm probably going to have to dig quite a lot more of that out. And then this is the other sort of clump of them that I've started to dig out here, but you know, it's such a lot of work, guys. I'm not kidding you, it's such a lot of work trying to get them out. So that's those two, and then let me show you what it is that I have actually been digging out and show you them against the size of my hand. So this is kind of like a fairly typical size piece, and then this is one of the biggest bits that was kind of in the middle, and they're just enormous and horrible, and actually I need to be careful because they're very sticky and kind of covered in a fluid, which I'm not sure how much of an irritant it is. But just look at the roots, all of these roots that I've dug out. It's insane. It's honestly insane. They are not something that I would ever plant back in again. Oh, actually no, look at that bit as well. Look at that. I think this was the ringleader bit right in the middle. But yeah, so I need to bag all of that up to go out the front and have that carted away. And then I've just got to get back to, you know, digging out the main clump of these, and then I need to kind of go through the the soil and possibly sieve it free of as many of these roots as I can. I'm not sure how well this is going to re-sprout from any roots or any bits that get left behind, so basically the more I can take out the better as far as I'm concerned. And then this is the rest of the bed that I just want to get in and start weeding. It's got lots of lovely things in it, but there's also the last kind of bits of the hedge trimmings and the eucalyptus tree trimmings and things that need to go and be put into a compost bin or chipped or shredded or something along those lines. I need to get in there and just weed all around the base of this hawthorn tree, which will look absolutely stunning soon when it comes into blossom, but at the moment it's just surrounded by weed. And then I need to get in between all of these bulbs and things and the hollyhocks and get all of that weeded and mulched as well. And then this grass, I don't know if you can see it here, is absolutely enormous and is a massive thug, and it's got all of this ground elder around it, and so I want to dig that out eventually. What I might manage to get done today is chopping it back so that it's more manageable, and then it needs to be dug out. Guys, I'm sweating. That was hard work. I've probably got, I reckon, about half of that second cluster of lilies up now, but there's still like massive solid root ball left in the ground. I'm gonna have to stop though, because it's hard work, it gets boring, and also I've just got aches and pains that I just want to kind of give my back and my body a bit of a rest and do something slightly different, something slightly easier and perhaps more fun. First of all, let me show you sort of where I've got to, and then we'll move on to a different chore. Well, mostly cleared the path of the last one. I now have another heap of it. I also don't have an empty council waste bag either to put it in, so I don't know quite where that's going to go yet, but let me show you what I've been up against. I'm kind of digging down through big thick bulbs, really dense root balls at the bottom, and it's quite tricky. And then I've got this kind of section here. Maybe I've actually done, I feel like I've done over half of like almost like the surface level stuff, and then once the majority of this is out of the way, I can then dig down properly into the hole like I did with that one, and just get as much of the bulb and the root out as possible. I mean, this whole area I'm gonna have to fork over. I think I'm gonna have to sieve it as well as mulch it, just to get it back to some sort of decent soil that I can, you know, plant some stuff in that I actually like and that actually flowers for longer than a day. I'm hoping this is all going to be worth it, because yeah, it's a tough job, it's hard work, but I think what we're going to do next is a bit of weeding over on this patch and possibly the kitchen garden that's kind of there over my shoulder. So yeah, let's go and take a look at that. Just so you know kind of where we are, that's the patch where the lilies are in that I'm trying to dig out, and then this is our next little job, I think, is to weed and clear this sort of section of the border here. This is the one that's got a load of rubbish on it that just needs clearing and putting in the compost. There's this gorgeous kind of piece along the front with the sage and the oxalis and the heuchera and the marjoram that's all just spilling over the side, which looks lovely. And actually what I would like to do is kind of mimic that all the way along here. This bit will get like it eventually, because the strawberries, when they get bigger, they tend to sort of hang over the sides, but this bit here needs sorting. So yeah, let's get on and do a bit of weeding and clearing. This is what things look like at the moment. So I've kind of weeded through this front section here. This just gets the odd bit of couch grass in it and like creeping buttercup and things like that. It's often right in the middle of these spreading plants, so I end up sort of, you can see it gets a bit holy because I kind of dig in with my fork and I end up pulling out a clump of whatever it is that's kind of crawling along the front here. It's fine, it will cover over, and this looks like it's been attacked, which I kind of guess it has in a way, but that will probably spring back within the hour. I also had to just kind of pull up a little bit of this golden marjoram because I've actually got some strawberry plants there that needed uncovering so that they've got some space to grow. We've got the hollyhocks in here, we've got some tulips that are pretty much done. They're probably going to go over in the next few days, and what I'm going to do, I need to come back after lunch with some thicker gloves because there's a lot of bramble around here, and also my secateurs as well, and just get that bit cleared. And I've tried to go along the back here, but it's really difficult to do that without accidentally digging up the irises, digging up the forget-me-nots, and there's some crocosmia along the back there as well. So I think what I'll do is I'll wait until the bulbs have gone over. Oh, there's a peony in the middle there as well. But yeah, wait until the bulbs have gone over, and then I should be able to get along the back a little bit more easily. And I've kind of got to around here, so I kind of started going along the front here. I've got this massive patch of ground elder to remove, and then I kind of want to go along this area, so that I've kind of cleared all of the area around this big grass that I want to take out this year. Yeah, and just kind of see what I'm up against, I guess. I feel like this is going to be, after the lilies, this is going to be my new nemesis. So yeah, this is so much fun. I feel like I'm making real noticeable progress, but I'm pooped, so I need to go and get myself some fuel, and then we'll be straight back out again. Okay then, so lunch has been had. It's actually colder indoors than it is outside, so I came straight out here, back out into the sun, put my coat on, and I've just done some digging, so this is going to have to come off again in a moment. Okay, so this is my new mountain of lily root and tuber and so on. This is how things are looking at the moment. So there's still quite a lot of the roots and quite a lot of the tubers left in the ground, but like all of it on the kind of like the top surface level has come out, as you can see. You know, kind of quite big roots and stuff. I just attacked it again while I had a bit of post-lunch energy, but I am still going to have to dig over this bed a lot. I'm also not going to replant it for some time because I want to see how much, if any, like regrowth you get from these bits of tuber and bits of root. I just thought I would show you how tough going this is, digging out the ground elder, because of how clay based my soil is. I mean, look at that, you can see it. I mean, the great thing about clay soil is it tends to hold nutrients and things in it, but at the same time it's very, very difficult to work. And this bed, I mean, look, you can see, you could actually probably make a pot out of that. There's enough clay in it. So then guys, I'm doing that thing that I did earlier where I had to temporarily stop digging the lilies because I just got tired and bored of it. I'm also tired and bored of getting rid of the ground elder, so I've tidied away the weeds that I have managed to get out, and I want to do something different. And then, like with the lilies, when I suddenly feel like I've had enough of a break, I will go back and finish tackling the ground elder. What I want to do now though is I actually want to weed at least a section of the kitchen garden patch and get some seeds sown in there, because I don't want to leave it much later. We're now finally entering a period of kind of consistent double figures, plenty of light and sunshine and things, and yeah, the soil's warming up. There are some dock leaves growing in it, and there's some other weeds as well, some things that I just need to use a hand trowel to get out. And then as soon as I've done that, we should be ready to sow a load of seeds. This is the veg plot as is. Basically just quite a lot of weeds, some chives and some garlic, and a random pot, random bucket, loads of poles and canes and things for use this year. But yeah, I'm just going to go over this with a hand trowel and try and get the brambles and the docks out, and hopefully we'll have somewhere that we can start sowing seeds soon. Good morning guys. So we're on day 3 of the bank holiday weekend, the May bank holiday weekend, and yeah, it's turning into a very garden focused weekend, which is fantastic because there's so much to do. You'll have to try and ignore the noise of my neighbour it's 8:30 in the morning and he's already using a power tool. But anyway, each to their own. In my little bit of garden, it's a peaceful little oasis and I can hear the birds. The bees have already started hovering around the bee hotels and things. And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to insert some footage here, perhaps just in the corner while I'm talking. Let me move myself to the side, of the vegetable patch, the kitchen garden sort of patch, and where I've got to with that. The most exciting thing is the Jerusalem artichokes that I planted in, I think it was back in February, that someone was giving away at the allotment. They're something I've always wanted to grow. They're pretty much a perennial vegetable in the sense that if you just leave some tubers in the ground, they'll just come up forever, which actually is what I want. And then I also watched I think it was a Hugh Richards video where he compared the yield from when they're grown in a very sunny position and when they're grown in partial shade. And actually, even in partial shade, they produce enough tubers. So I thought there'd be a great thing to put in the kitchen garden patch, because it's actually, it is quite shady, especially in the mornings. And I planted them. They were a little bit soft. They looked like they were on the turn, and I kind of thought, oh, I think they've rotted away. I don't know if these are going to come up or not. Genuinely did think that they'd rotted away because I hadn't seen anything from them at all. And then as I was kind of weeding, I accidentally dug one up. I was like, that's not a weed. Never grown them before, so I didn't recognise the foliage. And then when I sort of looked down, I could see that they were spaced out in rows. And I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled, because that is food forever in my back garden, along with all my perennial herbs and things like that. So that's incredibly exciting. What I thought I would do today, I can only spend about 2 or 3 hours out here because I have got quite a lot of work to do. I'm self-employed, so I still sort of have to get stuff done on a bank holiday sometimes. If you want to know more about the work I do, then there is a link to my business and money channel in the description. You might want to check it out, you might not. That's okay. But yeah, what I thought I would do is, yesterday I pricked out quite a lot of seedlings. I'm not sure how much of that I recorded. I cannot even remember. I think I might have filmed a few bits and have probably done a voiceover again, because it was quite noisy out here yesterday. People having lots of barbecues and music and just, you know, mowing lawns and stuff like that. It was a gorgeous day. So I have got some more things that I want to prick out today using some of my homemade compost. And then I've got a few things that I want to sow direct into that patch of the kitchen garden that I've cleared. And then I also thought that my broad beans have been out in the sort of cold frame greenhouse for quite a while now. They're not looking too healthy, but I could do with the space, and I thought I might just risk it for a biscuit and just put them in the ground. And also some peas are in a similar position. I also found an old sort of kind of like ropey, broken cold frame that I thought if I plant those peas and beans out into that patch, pop the not great cold frame over the top, they stand a chance of surviving. I'm also going to sow both of them direct as well. And we're just going to see what happens. It's basically like a lot of kind of leftover stuff I think is going to be chucked into this kitchen garden, and the good stuff is going to go down at the allotment. And I've got plenty of seeds, and I've got plenty of seedlings and things as well, so if some stuff gets eaten, if it kind of dies from the cold or gets a bit stunted, it's not too much of a problem, because I've got loads of other stuff that I can replace it with. So yeah, that's what we're going to get on with today. Where to start? I think I'm going to go and sieve some more homemade compost, because I think that's going to be a really good start. I thought I'd show you just how absolutely lush the homemade compost is. It's kind of half in shadow at the moment, but if I put my hand in here, this is just the most joyous thing. So this has been sieved. Obviously some bigger bits have got through because the sieve holes are, you know, they're quite big. But if you look at that, like the texture of this is so different from what's in my garden. It's kind of loose, it's free draining. It's been made with like weeds and chippings and trimmings and prunings and things from this very garden and, you know, kind of kitchen waste and stuff. So this is going to be fine enough for potting on. I'd probably have to sieve it a little bit more if I wanted to use it to sow seeds in, but it's fine for what I need. And also I can always pick out by hand just a few of the sort of bigger bits that I've got through. But yeah, so we're going to We're going to pot on some cucumber seedlings, so that's quite a big bit. We'll take that out and that bit. But yeah, so we're going to pot on some cucumber seedlings. I'm switching to voiceover again just because the neighbours are making so much noise at the moment. All I'm doing here is I'm top dressing this pot with some homemade compost. This has 2 beautiful lilies that come up every single year, and this is hopefully just going to give them a bit of a boost. There we are, they look gorgeous. And this is me pricking out some more tomato seedlings. I've got so many, they're really behind, but I'm still going to see if I can get something from them this year. So I've got plum tomatoes at one end, I've got some cherry tomatoes in the middle that are actually a bush plant that I'll be growing in pots, and then I've got tomato red cherry at the end, which is an indeterminate type of tomato which will just keep getting bigger and bigger and will need to be cordoned. Okay, so the weather's pretty gorgeous again and the sweatshirt's come off. I have, as you've seen, I've pricked out quite a few seedlings. I've got loads more to go, but I kind of want to break from that to go and do something different, which seems to be what keeps me going in the garden. I have a broad bean problem though. Have a look at that, it's got like black spots, black patches, which I've never had before with my broad beans. I have a feeling that it's something called chocolate spot. I kind of googled it and that's the closest I can get to it. I don't know that for certain though, because like I said, I've not had this happen before. And it said, I think it was on the RHS website, that it's due to a potash deficiency. I have a plan. So I'm going to plant them out in the kitchen garden, and I'm going to put some of my homemade compost sort of into the hole before I plant them. So I'm hoping that that might help with any deficiencies. And then I have got an incinerator that's full of garden stuff, garden waste, trimmings and things that needs burning. Nobody's got their washing out today, so I think this afternoon I might burn that, and then at some point in the week that will have all cooled down and I'll have some potash to put on my broad beans. So we're going to see if we can rescue them. I'm also going to sow some direct and see if the same thing happens with them. Right, so it's threatening to rain, but what I have managed to do that I'm really, really pleased with is I've planted out some of my pea seedlings. You can see that these are the older ones here, they're slightly bigger, and some slightly smaller ones here. And then I also missed a pot, but I might put those in a container up near the house. And then I just sowed some seed in this little patch at the end here, and then also in another row along here. So we've kind of got like a weird little succession thing going on with the peas. I just needed to clear the space, like I said, and I've put the homemade compost in the bottom of each of the rows for the pea seeds, for the seedlings and so on. And then I've planted out all of these broad beans, and I did find labels on some of them. So the ones at the front here are the Dreadnought broad beans, and then the ones at the back I can't remember the name of, but they will be the other packet that I've got. So they've gone in. There's loads of homemade compost on top of the soil. There's some in the holes that I dug to plant them out in. And then you can see the Jerusalem artichokes are looking pretty good along the back there as well. At the front we've just got some strawberries, some chives along the front here, and I think a couple of stray bits of garlic. It's not quite as much as I wanted to get done, but do you know what? I feel like I've done loads. So I'm going to go and edit all of this footage together and then kind of do a little summary at the end. But oh my goodness, look how... Let's get rid of that. That pole is going to have, this pole, where are we? Here, is going to have a clematis growing up it. But would you look at how gorgeous that looks? Like this section here. And then also if we come past that pole. And just look at how lush that looks. So that bit's looking fantastic. This is looking pretty good. I've just got to dig out that spiky plant there and do some weeding, and then the kind of that border's looking fantastic, and we're just going to fill some gaps this year. There's my pile of lily debris, and I don't know if you can see, but right at the back there, see if I can zoom in, we've got my sacks of garden waste that I'm gradually taking out to the front. But do you know what, that I think that looks nice. I might take a photo of that and possibly use it in a thumbnail or something.